All right, it'll take us a second to go live. Let's see if we're in the Facebook group yet. Not
Look at
yet.
all those books you've been reading.
What's that?
Look at all these books you've been reading.
There's only like 700 on there. I've got like 1,400, but
Great.
trying to catch up with you, Brian.
I have about that many myself.
60 books a year times 22 years. It starts to add up, right? Okay.
You've done that too?
Huh?
You've done that too?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did it for 14 years.
Okay.
And then I found the book started getting pretty repetitive after about 14 years of a book a week.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I had to go different place. But
I read 3 books a month, and then I listen to 2 audiobooks a month as well. So 5 a month, 60 a year. That's my mojo. Okay, we are live here. We're going live here in the Facebook group today, our LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, the Facebook business page. Got about 67,000 of you on that Facebook business page, my personal Facebook, Sales Revolution Facebook group. Got almost 24,000 of you bandits in there running around. We're going to have a very special interview today with a client who was actually one of 7th Level's first clients. I looked up this gentleman when we launched about 4 years ago. This dude literally was like one of our first 100 clients. It's crazy. You're like in the 100 club, Brian. So I'm like, I want to interview this guy. I know he's crushed it in a couple of different industries since he's been in the training. He now has his own consulting firm. So he's a private consultant, marketing, messaging, branding consulting. Would you say that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And we're going to talk about how he's using PQ in about 3 different industries and the type of results he's getting. And we're going to break down, we're going to ask him to give you guys some knowledge bombs, like specific questions he uses. If the prospect says this, here's how he's going to respond to that. Just a little bit of nuggets that you guys can take and use for what you sell. Now, we also have Dan Van on here. If you guys don't know Dan Van, he is a part of 7th Level. He's our lead account executive. So he meets with a lot of our clients, a lot of our people to do training. He also gets on different calls with people when they're exploring training options with us to see what's going to fit into what they're looking for the best. And we're going to go back and forth with Dan as well. Brian, welcome all the way in San Diego, right?
Thank you. Yep. San Diego.
Taxes and traffic, the 2 terrible T's. And then Dan, we've got you all the way over there in Perth, Australia, the complete opposite side of the world. What time is it? Like 6 in the morning there?
It's 6 in the morning. Could be worse, Jeremy. Usually you have me on at like 3 a.m., but you get me a little bit break today.
Dan kind of works like U.S. hours. I think he works like 3 in the morning till 10 in the morning his time in Australia, but he loves Perth, Australia. We don't know why. We're trying to get him to move over to our Sydney, Australia office, but he's badgering around, staying over in Perth. So we're going to go back and forth, and I'm going to ask Dan some questions about what he sees from different people that he gets on calls and some of their challenges and stuff they go through before they get into NEPQ and how that changes very rapidly. Because I've noticed a lot of people, like when people get into our different training programs from different team members, I see a lot of the messages that they send you guys on DMs and stuff like that. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty interesting. All right. Now, if you guys are brand new to the Facebook group, my name is Jeremy Minder. I'll just be quick. I'm the chairman and founder of 7th Level. We're an organization that trains salespeople exactly like you watching me right now. So we train sales professionals like you, sales executives like you, sales management like you, coaches, consultants like you, business owners, entrepreneurs like you. And we help you by transforming the way you and your team sell by learning specific skilled questions and techniques that actually work with human behavior rather than work against it. What's the difference in there? If we don't know the difference, we could be in trouble, okay? Those are known as neuro-emotional persuasion questions. That stands for NEPQ. We teach you the right tonality, the right delivery that puts your prospects at ease, eliminates sales pressure. Can you imagine that? And triggers your prospects to actually want to engage with you, to want to open up to you, and eventually persuade themselves. Now, you want to start learning those advanced skills like Brian has learned, is now making a buttload of money because you have to if you want to live in California. And if you want to be like the thousands of our clients at this point that are making that type of money in the industry that you're in now, watching us right now, you want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions consistently, your first 15, 20 grand, 30 grand a month consistently in what you sell right now. Message me directly right now. So message me directly in the Facebook group, my Facebook, LinkedIn. Message me directly now. Either myself or someone on my team will message you more details. If you can't figure out how to message me, just post hashtag NEPQ, and either myself or someone on our team will reach out and see if we can help you get where you're wanting to go. All right. Now, if you're on the live right now, go to your phone real quick. I want you to post hashtag live. So go post hashtag live here on the live. I want to see hundreds of hashtag lives. And if you're on the replay, I want you to post hashtag replay. I also want you to smash the heart button, smash the like button. I'm not going to have these gentlemen give out some secrets without you guys smashing the heart button, smashing the like button. Just not going to do it. We're just going to turn it all off and go home. So smash the heart button, smash the like button. It creates more engagement in the groups. More people are able to see this powerful interview we're about to have. All right, Brian, let's start off with you. All right, nobody cares about me. They just want to hear from the man himself. Brian, so walk us back here. The first question I always ask any client or any guest we have on here, were you born out of your mother's womb having advanced questioning skills and tonality skills, or is that something you possibly had to learn?
That's something I definitely had to learn.
You weren't born that way. Okay, just checking.
I was born in such a way that I was given a learning disability. So
okay, so you were born with a learning disability.
I had to learn a little bit more, maybe.
So you had to learn even more. All right. So walk us back. How long have you been in sales? Where did you start?
My first sales position, I had a business when I was 17.
Okay.
Started selling skateboards and apparel. We made some stuff in our garage. So that was the first thing I did. And
okay.
Sold network marketing for a number of years, sold IT services, personal development services, platform software solutions, consulting solutions. But I started off in basically selling B2B like skateboards.
Okay, so you got into that. I know you eventually, like when you became a client 4 years ago, you were selling for John Assaraf, which I believe he's the guy on The Secret, like personal development, has a lot of great personal development programs, brain training. Well, let's start there. So you're selling for John. He's got a big name in that space. You're selling his different coaching programs. Tell us a little bit about what was going on before you got into NEPQ. Like what was going on there?
Sure. With John, I mean, I was doing well.
Okay.
I was successful, like 6 figures, but I would definitely hit a ceiling. And one of the challenges is I was selling this personal development program. A couple of things came up. A really hard objection for which is I already bought a bunch of personal development programs, so I'm not using them.
Okay.
And I'm trying to sell them a $1,000 program or an $8,000 program, and they're not even using the stuff they have now. So that was nearly impossible to overcome without the help of me. So I lost a ton of sales, and immediately learning one tip, which we can talk about, that overcame that objection like flawlessly. It immediately boosted my income.
Yeah.
Then the other thing I ran into was because I was selling a personal development product, is people would just dump their life story on me. Next thing you know, they're like crying. I'm a salesperson here, and I'm like becoming someone's therapist. And I kind of joke, it's like really hard to take someone from like tears to like, give me your credit card, like in a couple of minutes. Like, it's really awkward. But the other thing it did is it was burning me out because it's like, I'm not trained to process like all these people's stories. So another thing that the NEPQ helped me with is running those calls much more effectively. So it was much better for them. You know, they don't want to have to relive their trauma or whatever. They're in their habits, right? I didn't want to have to deal with it. And I found a way through the training to be able to manage that as well. But we could go on, but those are a couple of things right off the bat that help.
So what caused you, like you're doing well, you're making low 6 figures, you know, you're doing well, but you do live in California, got to make more money out there for sure. What caused you to be like, hey, I need to learn more advanced skills. Like what's gotten me here, not going to get me to here. Like what shifted in your brain where you're like, man, I need to learn how to sell even better.
Well, it was, I was already trying to sell better. So I'd been on, Cardone University. I'd been on a bunch of sales trainings. I mean, you name it, I've probably been on it. And I was hungry. Like we were talking before this, I read a bunch of books just like you have, and was trying to find a way to crack the code. Like there has to be a predictable way to overcome a lot of these objections. Yeah. Some calls would be just flawless, and you feel this state of flow and relaxation. And then other calls are clunky. And then like, there's got to be a map. There has to be a code. Right. And I saw an Instagram ad randomly. I was just scrolling. I was actually I can remember that. I was laying on the carpet, just in front of my couch in the living room floor, because the couch was uncomfortable. Yeah. And I saw this ad, and I was like, okay, I'll bite. And it was Jeremy. You had it was like your Maserati. You're
like, who's this guy?
Yeah, who's this guy? But you were so different. You weren't doing like the Tai Lopez thing, like, hey, like guarantee. It was just you were making sense, and the things that you were saying were true, and it felt like this is what I'm feeling. So the things that you're talking about, that's what got me interested. Because I've seen just about everything else, all this hype stuff, all this like, hey, if you could just be more charismatic or something. A lot of these other people, they're like such personality-based salespeople.
Yeah.
But it's like that's almost what's working is they just have such star power that they're just getting people to buy because of their star power. That's really hard to duplicate, and it's also exhausting to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So when I saw your methodology, yeah, it was different.
The average person's not going to be able to duplicate that, right?
Not at all. Yeah, and I didn't want to. So that's what I noticed.
So how do you see NEPQ? Because you described it a little bit there, but in your mind, what's the biggest difference between NEPQ going through that advanced training compared to all the other courses you did before from the gurus?
It's an exact roadmap. Every other sales process I've ever been through, every other training I've ever been through, there was still an element of winging it.
Yeah.
They're still relying on you to be some sort of a super genius yourself, or there's still a feeling of like free fall. To me, when I'm on a call, I'm not using NEPQ. There's a feeling of falling, and
you don't have control.
Yeah, don't have control. I'm trying to tread water. I'm trying to swim, and NEPQ had a very clean map and exact transition questions. And I always knew exactly. Still do. I use it before every sales call I'm on now. I still look at my script.
Yeah. So you know where to take them from A to B all the way to Z, like just structured,
predictably, like. Easy. It's so that those calls that I was feeling where I was in flow and I just felt relaxed. Now I had the map to be able to do that every time.
Yeah. A little bit of different income too. Now, Dan, let's go down to you. So when you're on with salespeople, because we train every industry on planet Earth now. There's Forbes magazine, 158 industries. We train all 158. There's subsets of those, but we're in all of those now at this point, 4 years later. What is the biggest thing that you see from these salespeople? Like, what is their biggest problem usually when they come to you? What would you say their number one problem is? Like, man, if I could just do this, or if I knew how to do this, like, what's their biggest problem?
I feel like with a lot of the times on with other customers or clients that want to possibly inquire about NEPQ, that they always think the problems are the objections.
Okay.
They always think the objections are the problem and that's the problem why they're not making the conversions.
If they know how to overcome this one objection, they're going to triple their income.
Exactly right. So what we find is it's possibly like an upstream issue, because the intention of what we call the old model of selling gets people to assume things. Yeah. And when they assume things, the whole intention of the call is geared towards their agenda, rather than putting yourself in the person's shoes and the prospect's shoes of what they really want and need, if anything.
So basically, the salesperson doesn't realize they're triggering most of the objections they're getting, right? So when they change their sales process to what Brian's talking about, and they learn those questions and the tonality and how you ask them, you can prevent most of the objections from even happening in the prospect's brain. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
When you go over that, when you help a salesperson realize that, what goes on in their mind? Like, they have an aha moment. What goes through their mind?
That aha moment is, I never thought of it that way, right? Yeah. And when they say they never thought of it that way, typically it means that they're unaware of the problems that they had, and that's the difference when you go through the NEPQ framework from experience. Is that prospects, as you're aware, Jeremy, when you say, like, it's like the doctor, right? The person thinks he has a headache, right? Coming to the doctor's office, and without the doctor asking very skilled questions at the right time, that migraine that he might have could be like stage 4 terminal cancer.
Yeah,
right? And unless you go through,
he feels like he knows what his problem is because he's got the headache. I need some medicine to take care of my headache. I'm going to be good. That's what he thinks he needs. Like you said, most of your prospects don't know what they really need when they first start talking, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And take you through a series of questions after that.
That's good. Okay, Brian, let's come back up to you. So let's talk about, so you started learning NEPQ. What was the biggest difference you noticed from your prospects when you started? Because I pulled up, you posted a lot of freaking testimonials over the last 4 years. So well done. I posted up several of those and I read them like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. What were the biggest things you started noticing? How did your prospects start to react to you even a month in from going through the training?
I mean, they started selling themselves.
Okay.
They started asking me.
Yeah.
can I buy this? So you just, they stopped feeling like people I had to compete with, or they stopped feeling competitive towards me. They just felt like, I mean, it sounds corny, right? But it just felt like I'm hanging out with people and we're just having a good conversation, and they're the ones it feels like they're in charge, even though you're in charge.
Yeah.
It feels like they're the one that's closing the sale, and you're just along for the ride for them.
You're facilitating that.
Yeah, you're just facilitating their journey, and they're doing all the hard work.
Mhm.
Like the hardest work of selling, it's now their job, but they're entertained. They're having a good time going through it.
Yeah.
So I just found that they're much more relaxed.
And what Brian means here, I want to clarify something, because I see some old school, well, I see some new training programs that are just kind of repackaged from old stuff, because I've been through every course on planet Earth. I still go through them. So I can see where they came from. Like, oh yeah, well, he got this from this guy, this guy, this guy, and they just repackaged it and called it this. But what they do is, Brian does not mean that he goes in there and is like, well, you know, we need to ask a series of questions, and if we feel like you're a good fit for us, then we'll let you in the program. He does not mean that, because that is a turnoff.
So
everybody knows you were. If they said, "Here's my credit card, I want to buy it for 30 grand right now," oh, sorry, you're not a good fit for us. I can't take your money. Everybody knows that that's just a bullshit thing. Like, you got to stop with those type of, you know, what are they called? Like frames. Like those frames just trigger resistance for most people unless they're a lay down sale. What Brian,
I didn't mean to interrupt. Is it also makes someone, I feel like part of the power of NEPQ is it makes people feel special.
Yeah.
And when you can make someone feel special when you're selling, when you're having a conversation, when you're selling whatever, it changes everything. It's like, imagine going to like a therapy appointment or something, and they're like, okay, so I'm going to ask you 10 quick questions here. And it's just, I don't know. It's something, it's like transactional and weird. So
yeah, it's not human. It's not human.
It's not human. It's just awkward. So yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, for sure.
Some people, yeah, you have to really clarify that to people who are like, oh, I do that. No, actually you don't. Like,
you're so right. Yeah. Yeah. Because people immediately associate comments with the training that they've had.
Yeah. You're triggering sales resistance by doing those type of frames, because the whole time, first of all, they know that that's just not true. That every person is a good fit. If they say, here's my credit card I want to buy, you're not going to turn that down. Right. It's just, let's be realistic. So when you say that, people know what you're doing, and it triggers lack of trust. They just automatically stop trusting you. Like the sale is dead, or you're going to get a lot of objections, and you're just making it hard, you know, like you against the prospect, like it's adversarial. Right. What Brian is talking about is when you learn an EPQ and you go through our virtual training courses, you become a client, you're learning how to get the prospect to feel that you and them are on the same team. It's collaborative. You working with the prospect to help them find and solve problems they didn't realize they had, and get them the results they want. And they will gladly pay you more money to get results than they will with some salesperson who they think is just trying to stuff their solution down their throat. They will thank you, like Brian's saying, like, can I pay for that? Like, they're thanking you to solve their problems and get where they want to go. Brian, what's you talked about that one objection you used to get. What I don't know if you remember it, because it's probably 3
I remember exactly. I'll never forget.
But yeah. What did we teach you? What did we teach you to ask them and say to help them overcome that way of thinking?
I still use this all the time. So let's
give them some juice here. They want some juice.
All right. So this could be any industry. Let's say they've already bought a bunch of stuff, whether they're selling a car, selling software, whatever it is. They already have a bunch of stuff they think is supposed to solve the problem, a diet pill, whatever it is. So in this particular case, people will buy a bunch of life coaching programs because some people are addicted to buying life coaching. It makes them feel good, whatever. And they'd come to a call and they'd say, well, I already have all this stuff. And I couldn't overcome that. And Jeremy had a very simple reply to this. He just said, okay, just ask this question. Outside of all these other programs, what was it that attracted you to want to learn more about this one? Because whatever they say there is the answer to why all that other stuff wasn't enough.
Yeah. And
that objection never pops up again. As soon as because they realized, they told themselves why those things weren't enough. I didn't say it. But that objection was immediately killed every single time. I still do that to this day.
I love that. And there's a couple of ways you can reword that too. That'll work too. You can say, okay, so you've been through all these courses in the past. I mean, how do you see this, what we're doing, being different, what you've done in the past? And when they tell you how it's different, those things go away.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another way, another angle you can use it. There's another angle just off the top of my head. There's another angle that you can use as well. Okay, so you've gone through all these courses in the past,
Right.
like you already have them, but yet you're still here.
Yeah, let's do this to the people watching. Outside of what you've been telling me, you're in this Facebook group. You've probably watched a million YouTube videos. You probably read a bunch of books, been through a bunch of sales training. Outside of all of that training you've already been through, what attracted you to watch this video today?
Yeah, sure. It's getting them to see the difference.
Immediately, you're answering the question in your own mind.
Yeah.
You're realizing what wasn't enough about. So you see how powerful it is.
Yeah. So you've studied all this other personal development programs in the past, but what's prevented you from having everything you've ever wanted? Oh, well, this and this and this. Okay, so those things, so this and this is important to you then. So why look at changing your situation now and getting into another program rather than just, pushing it off down the road like most unsuccessful people would? Something like that. There's different ways to relanguage it. I love that. Dan, what do you see? What's one of the biggest objections that most prospects tell you they get from their prospects?
That they don't trust them.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they say that, when they're like, yeah, my prospects don't trust me, do they realize why their prospects don't trust them?
Typically they have no clue. Okay. And it's not their fault that they don't know. It's because of the information that they've been taught goes against what we call human behavior.
Yeah.
And without unconsciously doing that and triggering things in the prospect's mind without understanding how to work with human behavior and psychology, they'll never ever know.
They'll never know, right? So what I always say on any webinar training is at the end, I'm like, hey, what's the biggest problem in sales? Oh, it's objections at this. It's that. Like, actually, those are all problems. But the biggest problem in sales is the problem that you don't know you have. It's the problem that you don't know you have, because if you don't know what your problem is, then how can you ever change it? How can you ever fix the problem that you don't even know exists, right? So we find so many salespeople and companies just don't know what they don't know, right? They're like, our prospects don't trust us. They all have fear. They all have uncertainty. Well, what are you saying and not asking that's triggering the fear?
Right.
That's triggering the uncertainty.
Because they just think that's everyone. They just think that people are like that today. Everyone's a jerk. It's not true.
Exactly. All right. So Brian, congratulations on your success. You were obviously the number one salesperson by far in that industry with Asroff, and they've got some pretty successful things going on. And then you're like, hey man, I need to move up in my career. So you went to another company, you became the vice president of sales, I think, right?
Yeah. So I was so the CEO or the president of John Assaraf's company had left his company, and then I had left John Assaraf's company to do some stuff on my own. And the president had asked me, because we'd both left the company, if I would be open to the possibility of being the VP of sales.
He was learning from you. Okay, good.
Yeah, even my wife and I, like when we're are having a little challenge or something, we speak that way. It's really funny. The NEPQ.
I like that.
But yeah, he had asked me if I would be open to having a dialogue about possibly being a VP of sales and marketing at this VC-backed startup that he just became CEO of. So I said no at first because I had my NEPQ skills and wanted to keep doing my own thing. But he got me. He persuaded me. Yeah. And so I did that for a couple of years, had a lot of fun.
Got in there, pretty successful. And then you're like, hey, man, I've got the skills. I've got the sales skills. I've got knowledge outside of this. I'm going to start my own thing. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years, and I became the brand spokesperson at the software company. And I was getting really good at marketing. And I'd done some other things, some other coaching and training on marketing. And but with I'll say this first, is the foundation of NEPQ, because I changed the way I thought about communicating. It made it so that there's something really special happened when I started thinking about marketing and doing more marketing training. So it gave me a really unique way of looking at the world.
It gave you a different angle that most marketers have.
It works. And so I became the brand spokesperson, and then people started asking me to speak at like an event, or which was great. Like speaking is very lucrative, by the way. Yeah. It's awesome. So that was cool. And then started just like helping companies with marketing. And then I just realized I really like doing this. The startup world is great. I checked the box. I've been VP of sales marketing at this really intense VC world. Gosh, I wish I was that ambitious to just want to like grind it out all day, every single day. But I'm just, here I am in California, whatever. I just want to like make money and have fun and do my thing. So I went off on my own at that point because I was doing so well. It's like I was making enough money on the side that it was like, I just can't keep like grinding it out here at this job. I'm still friends with the company. They're still one of my clients. It's a great company.
Yeah.
And yes, that's how I went out on my own.
Okay. So you started your own consulting firm, branding, marketing messages. Tell us how you're using NEPQ in that space.
I mean, for every sale, but I'll tell you, there was something, I just found another place that I need to be using it that I'm not. So anytime something comes up that I feel pissed off about, I realized that I wasn't using NEPQ. Like, there's one instance that just happened where a CEO had introduced me to someone, and they responded in a way later that was really annoying to me.
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't use NEPQ because I didn't think I was selling this particular person. But in consulting, especially, what happens when a CEO or someone higher up in a company introduces a consultant or a solution, and people will probably run into this on, you are watching on the call, where someone high up in a company introduces you or your product or service to someone else. It could even be a spouse. There's resistance, partially because these people that are lower than, let's say, the CEO have already been talking about a bunch of different ideas, ways to solve the problem. And then here you are coming in, and it's like sometimes they resent that. And I forgot to ask some basic NEPQ questions like, hey, what else have you tried what have you tried to solve this in the past? And started to understand, you know what I'm saying? So that was a place that I forgot recently, and it came back to bite me. But I use NEPQ in almost every single conversation I'm in.
Yeah. Okay, good. Dan, let's come back down to you. So Dan, when you're on, Zoom, on the phone with salespeople, and they're like, hey, I sell XYZ widget, or I'm in this unique industry. Will NEPQ work for me? What is your response? I mean, even though we do train every industry on planet Earth now, according to Ford, we still get that somebody saying that. How do you help them overcome that way of thinking?
Well, like typically, if you get defensive, right, it triggers in their mind like this person, he's not seen as an expert. So what we typically do is just like, do you sell to humans?
Yeah.
Okay. And do they have a problem that you can solve? Yes. Do you provide the right solution? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we've trained about how many industries now, Jeremy?
150
in total.
All of them.
150. Yeah.
According to Ford, there's only 158.
Yeah.
Not that there was more. There's only 150 industries, and there's subsets of those industries. But I like that response. It's like, well, do you sell to humans? Okay, good. Do the human beings, do your prospects you talk to, do they have problems? Or do they have at least emotional needs? Like if they're buying a Lambo, they don't really have a problem, but they're trying to solve an emotional need, right? So any product or service that's ever been made is solving a problem and or an emotional need, or both, actually. Okay. And then if you ask them like, well, does your solution solve those problems? Then NEPQ would work for what you sell. There you go. All right.
Exactly right.
I always like to make fun of everybody over there. All right. So Brian, what's your plans now? So you're scaling your consulting business. I know you're doing extremely well over there. I've seen a bunch of your videos and stuff on your social media and stuff with some of you on stage speaking and stuff. What is your plan on really how are you going to use NEPQ to really expand your business in your mind?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I feel like right now, and I might have a problem that I don't know I have, quite honestly, like what you had mentioned earlier. So I'm probably right for some sort of a coach to come in or something to help me with, because right now I'm at a point where I'm just really enjoying just the place I'm at, where I'm making money and I'm having some free time, I'm having some fun. So I've worked really hard up to this point. I spent a lot of time grinding as a salesperson, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at a place now where I'm just taking a little step back and then having a good time being a consultant. I don't know, I might start a different company down the road. I don't really feel super ambitious about scaling my consulting company. So it's like a cash cow right now. Yeah. Making money, helping people, having fun, making a difference in companies. But what I'm going to do next, I'm really not sure.
I like it. Now, I remember one video. You were at one of our first mastermind when we launched 4 years ago. And I just watched your video before I came on here. And you said something about like the crash back in the day, and you lost your job, and you're like, oh my gosh, but you're like, now with NEPQ, even when the economy contracts, I have nothing to worry about because I have skills. Tell us what you meant by that.
Okay. Well, in my first year of marriage, I lost my job in 2009, and that was just brutal. And the economy was crazy back then, and it made me never want to be in that position again. Like, if you've ever been in a place where you can't provide for your family, it scars you. It's kind of traumatizing. So I think it's one of the things that drove me to do all the Cardone University and all these other things that I've done. And then I still didn't feel like I had it dialed in. I didn't have the confidence that I could make it no matter what economy I was in until I had NEPQ.
Yeah.
And it helped me even in the pandemic. I mean, I quit my corporate job right when the pandemic happened, and I was like, I can make it.
Yeah.
So
you have the skills. So when the economy starts contracting, which is probably going to coming up, nobody knows the day or hour. It could be in a month, could be in 6 months. We don't know. But when the economy starts contracting, selling becomes harder. We have to have more advanced skills if we not only want to survive, but actually thrive in a downturn economy. So your prospects you're talking to now are still going to have the same problems, probably even more problems, right?
Yep.
But if you have NEPQ, that separates you apart from anybody else who's trying to sell to them that doesn't have that.
Majorly. And I think it's, in a recession, people are they're not overconfident. They're not cocky. When everyone's getting rich or successful and everyone feels like there's a million jobs out there, people aren't that open to making changes. Even when you're trying to sell a software product or something, they're just like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. But when the economy gets hard, people, in order to keep their job, have to make changes. They've got to be ambitious. People no longer are in that fat and happy place. So I find that once you have the right skills with NEPQ, or just if you have the right persuasion skills, it's actually a better time to sell.
I agree. Yeah, my income doubled in the crash of 2008 and 2009 just because I got better, kept getting better.
Got a client waiting for me.
Oh, I got to go. All right, guys. Dan, thanks for being on. Brian, thanks for being on. Everybody else, Brian, go ahead and jump off. So, guys, I'm going to go too. I've got a meeting. So we're going to go live tomorrow in the Facebook group. Dan, thanks for being on, dude. That was awesome. We're going to go live tomorrow in the Facebook group at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have a live Q&A. I haven't had a live Q&A in about 2 or 3 weeks because I've been traveling. I am going to hold a live Q&A only in the Facebook group tomorrow. So make sure you are in the Facebook group, salesrevolution.pro, salesrevolution.pro. You can ask me any question on sales or selling. I'm going to answer that for you. Now, you want to start learning these skills that Brian's talking about. Brian's not the only one. We only have thousands of clients, tens of thousands of clients at this point. You want to start learning those skills like those salespeople have that sell exactly what you are now. So salespeople who sell exactly the same product and service you are, the exact same industry, they're making 10 grand a month in commissions, 15 grand a month in commissions. You want to start making 10, 15, 20 grand every single month, consistently, not hit or miss, consistently. You want to start making 25, 30. I mean, Brian in his job is making over 30 grand a month in commissions. Now he makes even more in his own business. You want to start making 35, 40 grand a month in commissions. Plus with what you sell now, same industry you're in now. We train every industry. We train your industry you're in right now. We are training companies. We are training salespeople selling what you are that are doing 2, 3, and 4 times the closing rates you are and the commissions you are making selling the exact same thing. Same type of leads, everything. You want to learn those skills, message me directly. If you're on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'll respond back here in just a little bit. If you're on Facebook, send me a message. You're in the Facebook group, send me a message. You're on YouTube, post hashtag NEPQ. If you can't figure out how to send me a message on Facebook or LinkedIn, then just post hashtag NEPQ. I won't get mad if you spell it wrong. And either myself, Marco Cortese, our Chief Revenue Officer, Matt Ryder, our CEO, or someone else on our team will identify themselves. Hey, I'm XYZ with 7-level team. And they'll give you some different training options if you want to have those skills. You don't have to learn how to sell more so you can make more. When the economy starts contracting, which it's coming, folks, it's coming. We all know it's coming. Let's just be real. We all know it's coming. It's probably already here. When the economy contracts, these lay down sales that you're getting here and there that are keeping you going are not going to be there very much anymore because people are going to get tighter with their money. They're going to get having more objections, and the same skills, what you were saying and asking that's gotten you here is going to start going down. You have to learn advanced skills if you want to thrive in the economy now and in the downturn that is coming right now, folks. I think you can all feel it. Inflation is not going to get any better. It is only going to get worse. You're going to probably have to make more money just to pay for the same things you are now. So if you're not making If you're making the same amount of commissions and things keep going up, what's going to happen? You're going to break. So you can either break or you can thrive. We love you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll do a live Q&A here in the Facebook group. Thanks, everybody, for having me on.